Hi, I'm Madonna and this is Sinoux from New Leaf Natural Therapies in Brisbane, Australia. One of the requests that we had was, what can you do to help yourself between kinesiology balances? Now, Sinoux is the queen of what you need to do between the balances, so I thought the pair of us would be useful because I'll sort of say what we're doing and Sinoux can give insight as to why and when we might actually use these. So for a start, anytime you're feeling like your brain isn't connecting, like you are not being able to grab those words when you want to grab them, when you feel like you just don't feel yourself. So switching is one of the things that we always do with clients on the table, but you can do it at home. So, and you do these all the time, don't you?
I had it.
So one of the things is your hand on your navel and your left right just underneath the collarbone. So these little spots here. Now, funnily enough, these are the kidney 27s. So in Chinese medicine, kidneys relate to fear and anxiety. So you can imagine if you're feeling fearful, maybe your brain isn't working properly. So this one can actually help the connections between the left and right sides of the brain. You use that one a lot, don't you?
Yeah, and the tailbone.
Life is stressful these days, so you know it never hurts to have some at-home band-aids. So the next one, the tailbone. So basically you just get, and once again, you don't move your navel, but giving that tailbone a rub, and you swap hands because each time you use a different hand, you're actually using the other side of your brain. So therefore you're getting some cross-brain action going on. I did have one kid one day who I got him to do this and then I got him to do the next one. He goes, ew, I just touched my bum. Kids. So the next one is this one. So basically, once again, hand on the navel and you're rubbing the top and bottom of the lip. Now, this one's for top and bottom of the brain, but it's also, interestingly, this is the end of the governing meridian, which feeds the unconscious brain. This one's the end of the central meridian, which feeds the conscious brain. So we're probably also connecting conscious, unconscious parts of the brain as well. Now, the little shortcut that does all those three is reverse on the heart, which is lovely. So it's a little reverse. So if so it's anti-clockwise on the heart. So basically that's a quick little one, but if you want to actually make sure you've got all of them done, or if you're doing something specific. So if you have an issue, reverse driving. So putting the old head over the shoulder, and that's going to be front-back switching, your brain, if you can't do it.
I'm laughing because that is an issue.
So that's a few there. Now the next one would be central zip-up. So I actually had a client who did some training with me a few years ago, and she was in a little bit of a position of authority, and she wouldn't allow people to come and talk to her unless they had their hands on her forehead and were doing the central zip-ups, which I just thought was hilarious. So basically, your central meridian runs from here, so pubic bone to the chin. So basically, all you're doing is adding energy to that meridian. So by doing that, you're adding energy to your conscious brain. Now, you can actually flush it if it feels really jammed. If you're energetic or spiritual, maybe you'll notice that. But you always want to finish with a couple where you're not going down again. So you're ending up with more energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember, that's very important to remember to.
It really is. And people always think, well, what are you doing with the energy? Well, you don't want to flick it at someone either. Maybe into a pot plant. No. Another one is hydration. So I suppose there's nothing to say about that. If we were actually testing, what the test would be a little tug of someone's hair, and then if the arm unlocked, their body would be hydrated. But always keep your water close by. When you're feeling stressed, you're going to be dehydrated. What else have we got? The old alternate nostril breathing, not great for people with sinus and hay fever all the time. But the reason it works is, so the idea is that you're basically going to, so I'm going to be blocking off one side of the nostril and the other. So just say I'm blocking this side, so then I'm breathing up. No, I'm not, I'm breathing up, and then out, and then up, and then out, and then up, and then out. So basically by doing that alternate nostril breathing, the theory is that we're then getting the sides of the brain to communicate better. Have you had success with the alternate nostril? It's not a big one you've done.
I don't use it a lot.
They use it a lot in yoga courses and things like that. It's a really common one. It's called Nadi Sharan or something. Anyway, it's got another name in Indian, but it's a really common one. Check that one out because there's a lot of information about it on the net, and it's a really quick, easy one. Good old cross crawl. So basically anything that helps. Sometimes when you see kids marching, their arms and their legs don't work, and they're sort of like, it's like their brain just isn't communicating. So it's good to be able to march on the spot, but also cross the midline. So anything that you do, and this is why things like tennis and piano and, you know, things that get the fingers and hands and arms moving across the midline. Is there any that you've preferred over the years?
I usually do like the elbow to the knee.
Ah, yes, that's a good one.
Or just marching, but making sure I really, and the
Oh, yeah, show that. So the little kicking the butt. Yeah, nice.
left to right.
Yeah. And the other thing you can do is go from homolateral to, you know, so basically like going a normal march, but then stopping one of the legs so that you're doing the same side, and then you're going back to the opposite side. So your brain should be able to do them quite neatly. But you can imagine the more stressed you are, the more your brain goes, I don't know what the heck you're doing, which is a sign that they're really not communicating. Good old, there's sort of like, well, for a start, the ESR. So I mentioned it briefly before. There's two spots here, halfway between the eyebrows and the hairline, or where the hairline used to be. So, and basically those two little spots are the emotional stress release spots. So when you start holding them, what you're aiming for, or you can just hold your whole hand, doesn't matter. But if you use it with the tips of your finger, you can actually feel the pulse coming in underneath there. Now the left side of the brain relates to logical thinking, and the right side of the brain relates to emotional thinking. Can you feel yours yet?
Mm-hmm.
Which one's coming through, or are they both?
The right one's coming through stronger.
So that means her emotional brain is working more than her logical brain at the moment. And what you want to do is hold it until they're both strong and even. And it is amazing. Sometimes when you do it, you can actually feel it going boom, 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 boom. So the connection between the two sides of the brain is so poor that they're actually taking turns getting that pulsing through. So ESRs. The other thing that you can actually do at the same time, if you like, is just hand on the occiput and then hand on the ESR. I don't do this one so much, but what that's doing is connecting the conscious part of your brain with that subconscious, unconscious part of the brain.
I tend to do it if I'm in bed, I'm lying. I've often woken up actually like that.
Interesting.
My body's just automatically done that.
We were chatting about this before, and we think that this is something that everyone recognises. The phone rings, you pick it up, they say, I've got some bad news, and you automatically do it. You know, it's just one of those things that's calming, nurturing, and if you just think about it, all it's doing is bringing blood to the front of the brain. So it's not magic, it's not pseudoscience. All it is doing is increasing blood, and that's what you want when your brain isn't working. You want more blood supply to the front of your brain. So emotional stress release points. There's also, like you might have seen in yoga videos, you know, the old heart tapping. So the thymus gland is underneath here. So if you're out in the sunshine, then it's not a bad idea to close your eyes, think about the sun, and this will really help to boost your immunity. And the immune system tends to shut down when we're feeling stressed. Are you a thymus gland tapper?
I do tap my thymus. Sometimes just doing it before I realise I've even doing it, I'm just done it automatically.
Yeah. And then another one that's really nice to do is connecting your brain and your heart. So we sort of did the brain, conscious and unconscious, but you can also connect your heart to your, because there's so much of a theory, do we think with our brain or do we think with our heart? And of course scientists want us to say everything's about the brain, except what has been shown to be true in the last dozen, maybe 20 years, is that the heart tissue, there's actually a whole bunch of brain neurons in there. So there's a lot of brain tissue in the heart, which is why the emotional gear can affect our heart so dramatically, so quickly. So what you can do if you've got time is close your eyes and imagine, like you can do all sorts of visualizations, of course, but you can just close your eyes and imagine a little tiny thread connecting your conscious brain to your heart, and imagine the energy going back and forth from the brain to the heart and back again until it just feels like both of them are calm and even. So you almost want to imagine your heart breathing while you're doing it. But if they're both pulsing really fast, that's not calm. And I think that's the thing with a lot of these things. Even if you get your ESRs pulsing, you don't want them pulsing fast. You want them to be pulsing nice and gently, because that's an indication of what your pulse is doing in your body, and your pulse will always race if you're stressed. Are they the main ones?
They're very fabulous ones. You can do them anywhere, at work, in the shops. I've done them in the middle of Woolworths.
Yeah.
Walk around Woolworths going like this.
I had another client who she had her mother-in-law living with her for quite some time, so she used to walk around the house going, serenity now, serenity now, serenity now. So they help anything, and basically give them a try, see how you go, and let us know. Cool. Thank you.